Okay, sorry about that. We're back. There is a major issue with my 2015. So just beware if you're using my 2015. Um, so I have this in my 2016 and we're good to go now. So what I was doing before that was separating these shells out. So now I've got this piece that's kind of wrapped up, and then this other piece that is projecting kind of okay. I still don't understand why it's that dodgy. This anyways. So let's go ahead, go to UVs. Let's try to get this unfolded a bit. Yeah, there we go. So this is what we want. Um, Looks good. Got some gaps in here. So I'm just gonna sew these edges up. The smooth and sew is this button here. Gonna sew that, and now we've got this bottom edge. So we want this to look like this. Um, to do this, a couple different tools. So this is the smooth UV tool. If you hold down shift and right click, get this markup menu, and this is the smooth UV tool. So we'll try this first. Sometimes this doesn't work, sometimes it does, and it's not working. So just exit that. I'm gonna try to do another cylindrical projection. See what we get. So what I'm going to do is grab these faces, go over here, and do UV cylindrical. We're going to get this again. So it looks like there's some overlapping geometry in here. So let's take a look at this in a closer view. So these polygons look like they're projecting okay. So we're just going to go into these edges. Oh, I see. See what we've got here. Just going to cut some of this stuff apart, separate it out. Really, a lot of the time with UVs, it's just a matter of figuring out what the projection has done. So you can get pieces looking okay. Let's see here. And remember, I said this was a really dodgy model, and I wanted to show you that um, for this reason, uh, just to show you the problems that you can run into. So you can see you're getting some overlapping going on here. So I'm going to go in and grab these edges. Let's take a look at our. So I can go in and try to find out where the problems are. This is definitely a problem. So I'm going to cut that. Grab these. I'm going to got that. I'm going to go here and grab this shell. Move it out of the way. This one. So now I can see we've got these guys, and this really shouldn't be doing this. But again, it's a speed tree model, so you know, it's going to cause problems. So let's see if we can maybe unwrap these. Oop. So I'm going to grab these faces, do another projection, cylindrical. It's out of the way. I bet you this is because this isn't welded correctly. Let's take a look. Yeah, that's it. So you can see this wavy line means that these verts aren't welded correctly. So like I said before, a lot of the times problems with your UVs will stem from problems with your model. So I'm going to go in here with this. I'm just going to weld this stuff together to see if that fixes our problem. some of these overlapping issues. Still, all right. Oh, anyways, let's continue on here. Our UV's back. So we've got these guys. So let's try figuring out what's going on here. So it's just a matter of trying to figure out who is attached to what. So it looks like this face, head, and cut that out. Now we've got this, so weld this edge in. Try to start to straighten this out. So really what we want at the end of this is nice square flat UVs. I know this is really boring to watch, but you guys wanted to learn about this, so that's why we're doing it. So I'm going to grab these. So all I'm doing is welding and sewing, and then I'm going to unfold to get a better projection. Then I'm just going to unfold these, packs. Good. So now we've got this top shell. And we can try to figure out where it's going to sew into down here. Here. Yeah, these verts aren't welded. Interesting. You can see when I grab these, I'll tell you what I'm talking about. So this edge should be matching up with whatever's down here on this edge. Oh, that's why. It's too small. So it is welded. So let's just cylindrical map that. Should be able to see where these are going to line up. There we go. So I'm going to grab these edges and then I'm going to weld them together. Grab these, smooth them. Now we're getting where we want to be. I know this is a long, drawn out process to get where I've gotten, but just want to show you run into problems like this. So now the rest of this should be relatively straightforward to deal with. It's just getting all these edges back together. So we're going to switch to edges. Let's go ahead and unfold these a bit. Go. And we're going to unfold these. I have to reproject these. Let's find them. It's these guys. The cylindrical. You can kind of see where I'm going with this now. At least I hope. So now you can see we've got these UVs lined up. Sew them together. Grab these. Oh, issue there. So this guy, let's find out where he's at. So it looks like this is just a face. Two faces that got separated. Figure out where they go. So them back in. Yeah, these aren't welded. See, that's the issue. This may not. Yeah, there we go. Edge. Go in and grab these. Sew them. Ah, this is a good example to show. So, you saw there when I tried to get those together, it flipped. So I just scaled those. Now I'm gonna sew them back in. Oh, a problem there. Ah, I see. So you can see that this is a good example. So this face you can see is not lined up with the edge of this face. So this one is it's one off basically. So what we're gonna do is cut this, grab this face, try to cut it. Edge here, cut, grab this face, move it off. And now I'm just gonna do this here, and now that's gonna should and see what's going on here. There we go. That's what we want. So you can see how that was just kind of flipped around on itself. So now I'm gonna grab, see the problem. This edge and this edge lining up. So this is a problem that can happen sometimes with cylinders like this. So let's see how we can fix this up. Should we've got this over here. So let's grab these, fold. Imagine this edge is probably gonna line up somewhere, so I'm gonna have to cut this. I think you guys can probably tell the methodology here of how we're doing this. So that's so this. Let's try this. May not work. It may work. Fold this, sew that together. Hack this off. This off. This there, and we've got this problem fixed. Smooth those a little bit. We are almost done with this one piece. Wow. I can't stress enough that having your model prepped is the best solution of fast UVing. You can see how long this is taking. just because there were some model issues in here. Let's get those in there. Smooth these out. And we've got our shell. So I'm going to scale this down. This in here. Whew. A long process. So now we've got this object. And this object is very similar to the rest of these other ones. They should be the same UV or vert count. So let's just give it a shot and see if we can transfer these over. So to transfer attributes, you're going to grab source and then the object that you want to stick it to. Go to mesh, transfer attributes. Things that you want to mess with really are local UV and component, and these are kind of a crapshoot, just a matter of which one works. Let's try component first, transfer, and it worked perfectly. So from this point, you just go and transfer it to the rest of your objects, and I'm just going to hit G. I think, let's get crazy. Might actually work if we do multiple. Nice. So, didn't work. So, source, G, source, G. G is just repeating an operation if you guys didn't know that. G, G, G. I'm just checking to see if this object has it or doesn't have it. G, 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 G. Almost, we should be almost all the way around. G. So we're not almost there. G, G, G. I think you can do this with multiple objects rather than you guys sitting there watching me screw up. Just gonna go through it. So now you've got all these transferred, and this is really important because it will kill your system if you don't do this. You select all your objects and kill your history. So break the link between your source object and your transfer object, because what happens is if you don't do that history deletion, if I grab this and I move it off into space, it screws up the UVs. So just remember that, it'll catch you up. And for some reason, yeah, guess I missed a couple. So remember, it's under mesh, transfer attributes. G. Don't want to work. So let's try this again. Transfer attributes, transfer. Try another. Like I said, this isn't foolproof. Like sometimes it does not work. Yeah, see that for some reason this one's not jiving with these guys. So what I can try to do is grab one of these. Transfer. Yeah. So see, for some reason wants to work the other direction. So I'm going to delete the UVs off of this. Here, here. And it's something wrong with this object. So let's delete it. Place it later. I'm gonna have you guys sit there and watch me around with that. Okay, so that's our first object, and you're gonna see that these are kind of all the same thing, and they're all overlapping. Um, that's fine since all these objects are the same. They're gonna put the same texture in all these. If you wanted to put separate textures on them, you can do that as well. Um, so if I wanted to do that, I'll just combine these and then grab the object and go to unfold and optimize. Grab all these. There we go. So now they're all packed. And this is decent UV packing um, for these guys. That's only if you wanted to do, like if you wanted to grab these and paint a texture over all of them. But typically for a game, you're going to do one of these objects and continue on. So for the next object, we've got this guy. It's kind of a cylinder too. Let's not mess with it. Let's do one of these. So yeah, grab one of these. So you have kind of a weird object here. This is another way where we would do multi-projection. This actually may work okay with automatic. Let's just see what we get. Yeah, that's fine. So I'll show you how to optimize an automatic projection. So you can see here, you get these offset faces. Excuse me one second. Automatic does this a lot, where it will create, it'll take one row of faces the wrong direction. So we can see kind of where this is connecting. You can see it's connecting here. So to get around this, you basically grab these row, this edge. It's the same thing we did before. We're just going to cut it off, grab the shell, separate it. Now we're going to find out where it goes. So let's say here. Here. Make sure it's not picking up. See, it's picking up this one as well. Let's find out what's going on with this guy. Yeah, you know what? It's not worth it. Oh, there it is. Never mind. So we'll go ahead and give it a shot. So we'll grab these guys and try to sew this back in. Looks like we've got some kind of overlapping issue here. Okay, we'll just grab these edges. Grab these. Sew them back in. See where these guys. Actually, I'm going to cut this part off, because I know it's going to cause problems later on. So I'm just going to grab these edges. Cut. Shall pull it off just for now. We could probably do this one as well. Cut this off. Now we're going to go back to this guy, which should line up now. Looks like it is. Sew that in. Grab this guy. Should go all the way down. Sew that back in. Yeah, it's going to start running into problems. I mean, basically with your automatic projection, you're just going to go through and try to find and repiece everything um, that you've had problems with. Yeah, you can see it's a huge mess. So that being said, let's do it another way. So let's go back to our object, delete UVs, object mode, and let's try some multiple projections on this. So first thing I'll do is planar, and we want to flip this. So we'll go through, rotate this around, pull it here. That works. So then I'm going to go through and figure out this middle point. So this is the middle edge ring, edge loop rather. And then my UV editor, since I have that loop selected, I cut along it. So now when I grab these shells, got top and bottom. So then I'm going to grab these UVs, grab them all, and unfold. Now we've got beautiful UVs for this object. Show you in the viewport. So now you've got a top and bottom using a planar projection. And all I did was just cut it along its middle axis, or its middle edge loop. Instead, you can see how this is so much better than trying to use automatic on this, is what most people would probably try to do. But now you've got this. So, and when packing your UVs, you want to use as much space as possible. So that's pretty good. You literally just do this for the rest of these leaves over and over and over again. Or if you're doing this in a game, you would probably grab this one and then just duplicate it around and scale and move. That's one way to do UVs on that. So same thing for this. Get this kind of weird object, but we're going to use the same method again. So planar projection, grab this here. I'm going to try to find a middle loop. Say here. Ooh, yeah. This brings up a really good point. So this is because this was done in ZBrush with Z Remesher. So you're going to get these coiling loops, which is a major freaking problem, as you can see, because now I'm trying to cut these UVs apart and it's not working. There's a way around that, but I suggest you just make sure your edge loops don't do this. So the way I'm going to fix this is I'm just going to go in and double click on my arrow and go to camera based selection. I'm going to go to faces and grab these top faces. You're going to see it kind of does an okay job, but you got to remember, since this is looping a spiral, it's not going to be perfect. So I'm just going to go through and correct some of these just to try to get somewhat of a flat area. Again, good topology, good UVs. Can't say that enough. You're going to encounter problems like this because sometimes you'll be UV models that aren't yours, or UV models that are yours that just didn't realize there was a problem. That's pretty good. So now that I've got these faces selected, I'm going to do this again. Go to UV planar. So now what's going to happen is it's just mapping just the faces I selected. So let's bring up our attribute editor here. Go out. So now those are UV'd. What I'm going to do is grab this shell. It's kind of a trick. I go to faces, select these faces, select inverse, So now I've got the un-UV'd faces, and I'm going to do another planar projection. Same process. And now you can see we've got a nice UV'd object. And for this, it's kind of a smaller object. We're just going to pack these bad boys together like so. Kind of match the size. And this would be texture set, substance. So that covers that multiple projection. So let's see here. These guys, same. We do the same method I did with the other cylinders. Very similar. And the same with this. So hopefully that gives you somewhat of an overview of using multiple projections for your UV maps. And as far as packing them, really it's just a matter of watch the tutorial on textile density. You want to make sure that your larger areas have more UV space than your smaller areas, and that you're properly breaking up material sets so you have so your UVs aren't taking up a small amount of space in your 0 to 1. So if you have a bunch of large objects, you want some different texture sets. So each texture set has the resolution required for its size. And that's it, guys. So let me know if you have any questions. I can do this again on another object. Um, but really, it's pretty basic. Just you're literally selecting, projecting, selecting, projection, and using multiple projections and then stitching things back together. So hopefully that was helpful, and shoot me any questions. Thanks.